Welcome back. This week on our theme, The Black Family, you'll hear the recitation by Ida Anderson. I am Joyce Coles, the president of the Piscataway African American Seniors and your host. Before COVID, we would put this to music and we would have the Piscataway ROTC present colors. Nevertheless, join us for the recitation followed by Lois Green sharing Jumping the Broom and family reunions, followed with remarks from Mayor Waller and Councilman Jim Bullard.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of faith that the dark path has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, fell in the days that hope, unborn, had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place on which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Hello, my name is Lois, and I will be speaking with you today about two customs that have become tradition in some African American families. They are jumping the broom and family reunion, both which are very dear to my heart. For jumping the broom, there's African American registry research, which traces it back to West Africa, Ghanaian region during the 18th century, ending in 1897. It was incorporated into weddings to signify sweeping away the past. You know, we all have a past. Negativity, removing that negativity and dismantling evil spirits at the onset of marital unions. In the U.S., slave marriages were not legally sanctioned. They were not permitted to get married. As a result, the custom of jumping the broom was performed to symbolize the joining of the couple in marriage. Today, it is a custom incorporated in some Black wedding ceremonies. After the vows are exchanged, The newlyweds hold hands and they jump over the broom. Let me tell you a little bit about the broom. In Christian ceremonies, the broom handle represents God. The straw bristles signify the couple's families. And the ribbon, which is tied around the broom, symbolizes ties that bind the couples together. Having actually witnessed and been a part of jumping the broom, it is an experience that everyone should have. It moves your heart, and to see us go back to our ancestry beginnings. So I hope everyone has an opportunity to witness that. The next topic is the family reunion. I can laugh at that one because that is definitely a lot of fun. That's when our families gather, our family members and distant relatives, you know, those relatives we haven't seen in years and relatives that you've only heard about, but you've never seen them. Auntie so-and-so and cousin so-and-so that you only know by name. So a little bit about the family reunion and how it came about. In Africa, our ancestors were taken from their families and brought over to the United States. During slavery, families were often torn apart. They were separated. Mothers from fathers, children from their parents. I was, as a part of Emancipation Proclamation and the Great Migration, which the Great Migration was the African Americans' migration from the South to the North, families after the emancipation became even more separated. The families moved north for better opportunities, and as a result, families lost contact. So they would put information ads in newspapers trying to locate their family members who they had no longer contact with. Once they were able, and also through word of mouth. You know, word of mouth is a powerful thing. Do you know where cousin so-and-so went, or sister so-and-so? So once they had located that member, and once the connection was established, they brought the family together, or tried to bring all the members of the family together. Hence, the family reunion. Now, family reunions are work. Make no mistake about it. Trying to get everybody coordinated with the dates and the activities and what will be going on. It's work, but it is definitely worth it. You have your family historians who keep records. They kept them often in Bibles. And I've seen Bibles where they would write the births and the deaths and the marriages in them by date and name. So you'd know who was related to who and who bore what child and those types of things. Family reunions are a happy time. They're a celebration. You come together, you meet a lot of different relatives that you haven't seen. There are games, group activities. There's lots of food, lots and lots of food. Your historians and your elders tell you what they can remember from times past. Your elders are the ones who sit, and you'll see them. They sit off, and they just observe, and they look at the family. It's their family. They're their descendants. They sit, they look. A time to reconnect, a time to envision, a time to see, a time to speak and share that which they know and can pass down. You are at the end of a family reunion after you've had all the fun and everybody is going on their way. They exchange phone numbers and addresses, and they promise to keep in touch. Sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But at least you had the opportunity to meet and enjoy the company of your family. I have had the pleasure and experience of both of them, jumping the broom and family reunion. I have the memories, and it brings a smile to my face. Those are times that you will never forget, and I hope that I will always experience them again. We're planning another family reunion. Not to 2022 probably, but because of the times, but we are planning it and we have discussed it already last week. So we look forward to coming together. Right now, our family reunions are Zoom. We thank God for technology so we can still stay connected. And that's what a family reunion is, connectivity. To make sure that you don't lose touch with your family members. I have enjoyed those times. I have enjoyed the jumping the broom ceremonies that they're awesome to see, and they're slightly different depending on who's doing it. But it's a joy and a pleasure. I thank you for your time.
I want to thank Piscataway African American Senior Club. They are putting on a fantastic set of shows. Our township is fortunate to have this vibrant group. What a remarkable time to have Black History Month. We have our first Vice President of Black descent. This is history, and actually, it's herstory. Kamala Harris is amazing, accomplished, and among the best of America. Now all children, especially African American girls, can know that our nation is endless possibilities. Another remarkable Black woman is Linda Thomas Greenfield, nominated by President Biden to represent our country in the United Nations. We have our first African American Defense Secretary, what an extraordinary leader we have in General Lloyd Austin. We appreciate how these trailblazers are moving our country in the right direction. Who we also appreciate are the many activists who continue to stand strong for the Black Lives Matter movement. This past year has shown us in clearest terms that the struggle for equality, dignity, and justice is still very much in process. Because of that, Black History Month is more than what happened in the past. It is also what is happening now, as African Americans today write their own stories. Part of these stories are about family. I am heartened to hear that this year's local theme is the Black family. Because of this pandemic, we think we gained a new appreciation for loved ones. For those in our homes, the quarantine has given us time to rekindle our relationships. For extended family, a Zoom call has sadly taken the place of usual holiday get-togethers. But through difficult times, a silver lining is often the strengthening of families. I hope that all of our families participating in Black History Month have a meaningful experience. And again, my best wishes to the Piscataway African American Senior Club.
Hello, my name is Councilman Jim Bullard, and the reason I'm here today is to actually share the transatlantic slave information with you. It is something that most of us know what happened roughly about 400 years or so ago, but what I like to do is actually give you some information as to what you didn't know, all right? Portugal and Spain were the first European powers engaged in this trade. Eventually, most of Europe powers would get involved. It was as profitable as it was brutal. The first Africans arrived in Virginia because of the transatlantic slave trade. Across 3.5 centuries, and which was from 1501 to 1867, more than 12.5 million Africans were captured, sold, and transported to the Americas. The Africans who came from Virginia in 1619 were taken from Angelo in the West Central Africa. They were captured in a series of wars that were part of the most broader Portuguese hostilities against the Kanjo and the non-Danjo kingdoms and other states. These captives were then forced to march 100 to 200 miles to the coast to the major slave port in Legendo, Lu- Lu- Lunendo. They were put on the board on the they were put on board of the Saint John Bautista, which carried 350 captives bound to Vera Cruz on the coast of Mexico in the summer of 1619. Okay, let's chat now about the emancipation, which was the freedom of our Negro forefathers. And now there was a what they call the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was a network of secret routes and safe houses established in the United States during the early mid 19th centuries and used by the enslaved African Americans to escape into the free states and Canada. The scheme was assessed by abolitionists and others sympathetics to the cause of escapees. The enslaved who had risked escape and those who had who aided them were also collectively referred to as Underground Railroad. Okay. Now, various other routes led to Mexico, where slavery had been abolished or overseas, I should say. An early escape route running from Florida, then a Spanish possession that was accepted in 1763 to 83, existed in the late 17th century until approximately 1790. However, the network now known as the Underground Railroad was formed in the late 1700s. It ran north and grew steadily until the Civil War began. One estimate suggests that by 1850, 100,000 enslaved people had escaped via the network. All right. The next thing that I'd like to cover is the historical abolition of slavery. The abolitionists had its roots in their 1807. In other words, Abolition of Slavery Act of Great Britain. Many academies in the field perceive this as the beginning of the end of the traditional form of slavery or chattel slavery. In the 19th century, Britain controlled the majority of the world through its colonies. Consequently, in passing this law to abolish slavery, the British Parliament abolished slavery in the vast majority of its colonies. Customarily, freedom from slavery also be found in the 19th century under the phrase freedom for oppression and tyranny. Because slavery is a condition of complete and total submission of one person to another, often with the exertion of force of power of the owner over the submissive, the phrase freedom. Freedom from oppression and tyranny, I should say, accurately encompass the right to freedom from slavery. The United States Declaration of Independence, the French Declaration of the Rights of the Citizen, the African Charter of Human Rights, and the Constitution of South Africa, all present, all, all presented the idea that the human beings should be free from tyranny and oppression. Although slavery continued to persist in the countries after these documents were written, namely the United States, in which slavery continued until the adoption of the 13th Amendment in 1865. The underlying norm of the right is present, though customary practices and the abolition of slavery, the international community had adopted the right of each person to be free from slavery. August 1st, 1834 will forever be considered a watershed day in the annals of the Black history. That was the day formal slavery was abolished in the British Empire. The slave trade within the British Empire had been abolished on the 1st of January, 1808. The Slave Trade Act was passed in the British Parliament on the 25th of March, 1807.
Thank you for tuning in for our journey through the Black family, and we'll see you next week.